stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Hey guys, and welcome to Dark Arts Podcast. Listen, I thought I'd do something a little bit different for you guys. I want to be able to, I want to be able to take you guys. Oh, I got a double back here. Sorry, hold on. I got a little back. Hold on. I got some noise back. Hold on. That was a false start. Anyway, listen, welcome to Dark Arts Podcast. Listen, I wanted to bring something a little bit different to you guys, right? I thought to myself, you know what? I've been on the streets for the last 3 years. What could I possibly bring that's different to the audience that maybe they don't get on YouTube already? And I thought to myself, let me give you the game. And let me give you the game purest, like cocaine that's pure. I want to give it to you the fullest way. Okay, all right. So I'll put a trigger warning there because listen, if you have been played, you've been manipulated, you've had a boy or a girl do you dirty, I need you to be ready because I'm going to really expose some manipulation things, and it's not going to be pretty. And I'm going to let you know, I'm going to let you inside to my mind and how it works and how other people also think and how they move, because there's a common strand of thinking that happens, right? So if you're here, I'm telling you now, get pen and paper, but number 2, get yourself ready because I'm going to really break some things down, and I'm afraid that some of you may feel some type of way. You may look at me differently. I totally understand. I'm not going to be angry about it, okay? I understand, all right? But if you listen to me, I'm going to break down the game completely to you, and this is just the first episode. I'm going to try and do it every week, and I'm going to try and give you as much game as possible because let me just say this now. It is not by mistake that man or that woman tried to play you. It is not by mistake that man or that woman tried to play you. It is all conscious behaviors that oftentimes are unconscious, but they become conscious. What I mean by that is a person may not intentionally try to hurt you. They're not intentionally trying to hurt you. That's not what they're trying to necessarily do. But their behavior is about power and control, which inevitably leads to you being hurt. Right? So this channel obviously is on Little Black Book, but it's also on my Dark Arts channel because I want to be able to get the numbers up and get you guys over to my new channel. If you haven't already joined it, there is a link in the chat. Join the channel because I'm going to be doing videos every week and hopefully be able to break it down and just do it a different way than usual. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you. I'm going to give you guys the game as much as possible, and I'm telling you now, please grab a pen and paper. But if you know you're going to be triggered, I want you just to take some time out. Don't stress yourself. It's not a biggie, but you could get triggered. You know what I mean? All right. I am going to intentionally overinflate because I want you to be able to feel, and I want you to be able to hear, and I want you to understand what's really going on. So I'm going to really push the envelope and the boundaries a little bit. So when I say certain things, it's going to go really dark. Again, I'm warning you because I just want you to be okay with what we're going to get into. I don't want to be blamed for it. I mean, you should blame me because technically it is what it is, right? But I want to be able to release this to you in the fullest way possible. Okay? All right, cool. All right, listen, let's get into this video. Shout out to those who are on Insta. If you're on Twitter, shout out to you. If you are on YouTube, shout out to you. If you're on my Dark Arts channel, shout out to you. If you're on my Little Black Book, shout out to you. Let's get into this conversation, okay? We are talking about today that, exposing the heart of an emotional F-boy. Listen, we are not born, we are made. F-boys are not born, they are made. What I mean by that is the same way. What I mean by that is that we don't come out the womb looking to manipulate people, take advantage, play you, hurt your heart, get financially or sexually or mentally try and get an advantage of you. That's not how we're born. We are made. We come into these situations due to our environment. But I also believe it's also because some of these people, most of us, if not all, have dark traits, right? So they have if you were to flip it on its head, it would be a really positive trait to them. But because they're using it in a negative format, it becomes very dangerous. Okay, all right. So when I say we, it means that I'm keeping the thing at bay. It's not because it's gone. It's at bay. Because had it not been for Jesus, this thing could still be going on. Because well and truly, unless someone stops me, I'm going to keep on doing it because I can keep on winning, right? You don't stop doing what you're doing if you know you can win. And so it's a very dark thing that keeps on playing. You have to keep it at bay. Thank God for Jesus in my life. Okay, guys? All right? But we're going to get into this, all right? First and foremost, if you've watched my videos, I've talked about this before, but quickly, what is an F-boy? An F-boy is simply someone who is selling the dream, oftentimes, of a relationship, but has no inhibition to settle and won't settle. The dream is often that you're going to have some type of relationship with that person, okay? They're going to sell that to you, okay? You're going to buy into it, and they're going to rob you. Okay, all right? Or rather, there's another aspect which I think is a different aspect when it comes to F-boy is I know what you want. Or let me say this, let me make it darker. Let me make it a little bit more darker for you. Okay, let me make it more darker for you. You may not want a relationship, but I know you're broken. And because I know you're broken, I'm going to take advantage of that brokenness. Jesus, that sounds so bad. Okay, but it is that bad. Okay, I know you're broken. I know you have weak points. I know you got bad boundaries. I know you don't care about yourself. I don't give a heck. I'm going to take what you have because I want what you got. Whether it's the box, whether it's your money, whether it's your emotions, or maybe it's all of it, I'm going to take it all. Why? Because simply put, I was not born this way. I was made this way. Right? And certain things in my life have caused me to think in this particular linear fashion where it's either you or it's me. Right? It's either you or it's me. So I'm in a particular state where, listen, I'm here to sell ice to the Eskimo if I can. If he's willing to buy, I'm gonna sell it to him. I have no integrity, and I'm not thinking about being integrous because at the end of the day, I've got a hole in my heart. I'm wounded to a place where I don't care about integrity, and I don't care that you are going to be hurt in that particular place. Yes, survival of the fittest. It is up to you to defend yourself. If you want to open your shop and let me come in the shop and rob you, that's your business. That's how we're thinking, right? We're not integrous in that place because we ourselves are wounded, and so we operate out of that wound. So if you don't want to close up shop, you don't have boundaries, you don't have rules of engagement, you don't want to make sure that, you're doing your due diligence, by all means, I don't mind being a con artist in this situation. That's how we think. But let me tell you a story first, and then I'm going to go deeper into what we're talking about today, all right? I want to go into a little story. I wrote something. I was like, let me just write into a little story, and then I'll be able to break it down. So permit me this time while I tell you the little story as well for you guys, all right? Just a, I like a little story. Just a little story time, you know what I mean? Just a little story time. Just to break something to you guys, okay? All right, so this is something that personal happening to me some time ago. Unfortunately, it was a situation at the time, but, I hurt someone and I felt bad about it, but shoot, it happened. Nothing I can do about it now. So, let's go to the story. All right. Story time. Okay. All right. I've done it like a little kind of story, like in a novel kind of style. So it's not a normal me telling a story time. I'm going to read it like it's a novel. All right. So stick with me. All right. Stick with me. All right. Cool. Story time a couple of years ago. Yeah. Take me a couple of years ago. All right. Cool. Here it goes. Lord, I'm so sorry. I apologize kneeling on the floor beside the bed. I had just committed my craziest crime. The guilt from fornicating a few months ago was beginning to sit in the bottom of my stomach. I could smell the result of my 2 minutes worth of passion in the air. Even if I wanted to forget, I made this conscious mistake. My nostrils couldn't forget this smell. And the pink condom wrapper hanging on the edge of the bed made it impossible to not see. Post-nut clarity was appearing as scheduled with an unwanted guest. A barrage of conflicting thoughts tackled my mind like an opposing rugby player. And I clenched my hands together, tighter, hoping that I was dreaming at this moment. Jesus, I promise I wasn't trying to hurt you on purpose. Jesus, I wasn't trying to hurt her on purpose. I swear. But the temptation was too irresistible, Lord. See, whilst I prayed that prayer beside the bed, kneeling, I also had to contend. I knew traveling 50 miles by 2 trains and Uber and not removing the spare condoms from my bag and sleeping over was not a mistake. It was intentional. I was deceiving her and I was deceiving me. Oh no, I told her I wasn't going to come over and have sex. That's what I told her. I promised I'm not going to have sex. You're not going to have sex. We just going to spend some time and sleep over and cuddle and just chill. But I was intentionally taking advantage of Daphne. See, I wasn't sure how long I stayed on my knees, but the pain from the constant pressure of being on a worn-out thin carpet was the evidence of how much time I spent praying. I continued my desperate prayer. Lord, I don't want to lose your connection. I certainly don't want to lose the time and the spirit that you've given me, Lord. I begged. Please, Lord, don't take it from me. Daphne awoke from her morning nap with a bonnet, sleep dust in her eye, and my oversized black t-shirt with a look of confusion. What are you doing? She said. I'm praying, I replied, while I was looking at the t-shirt which said, Lord is good, that she had on. Slowly her sight focused on me, posted by the bed, and she asked again, what are you doing? We both looked at each other. And for a mere few seconds, there was silence that filled that room. But the knocking in my head was extremely loud. I could hear the Lord telling me, Coach, you know you took advantage. You know you played her. And you knew that when you came there, you had other intentions. See, my stomach twisted into a knot as another waft of semen drifted past. It was a smell that forced me to tear my eyes from her gaze and begin to say, Lord, forgive me again. I'm sorry. I felt shame and I felt guilt as I uttered my prayer of forgiveness. A few more minutes had passed. Some tears had fallen and my knees could no longer take the chastisement. The moment I rose to sit on the bed, Daphne lovingly stretched forth her elongated brown arms to hug me. Babe, are you okay? That action made me tense up. And a tear dropped from my eye. And in that split second, I had to make a decision. What was my decision? I'm not hugging her back. I can't hug her back. I just literally took advantage of the situation. I knew that I weren't here for no good stuff. I was here to have sex, cuz. I was here to get mine. I don't really care whether you got yours or not. I was here to get mine. That's all I cared about. So how can I lovingly hug you back knowing I took advantage of your goodwill? Of course, no, it takes two to tango. I knew that it took two to tango. But she did it in a way that she felt like she was giving me something and we were having a we moment. I was having a me moment and there was no we in this situation. And at that moment, she saw my eyes, saw how I rejected her in that moment and didn't give her that hug. And she recoiled. Her eyes were wild and fierce and hurt from the rejection. You used me, she gasped. She instantly became aware that she had no underwear on and pulled my oversized t-shirt over her legs consciously. I thought you were different. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. How could I fall for this again, she said, standing up and sprinting to the bathroom. Fuck. Lord, I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. There was so much more guilt and shame again filling my whole entire being in that moment. Let me leave the story there. Listen. Now, this is a true story, by the way. I just kind of animated it and made it more of a narrative, right? It's based on a true story. And this situation that happened, this is years ago. The situation that happened, I remember that when I was going there, we had this conversation. The conversation was about like, look, we both Christians, we ain't trying to do this stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? We ain't trying to play this game. We just trying to be good. Like, you know what I mean? And in my head, I can't lie to you, whilst I was thinking we good, in the back of my mind, I said, it's about to be good. That's how I was thinking. I wasn't thinking about you, and I wasn't really thinking about her feelings. I wasn't thinking about whether she was gonna get something from it. I didn't care. I just had a need in that moment, and I wanted to fix that need. And that's one of the things about an emotional F-boy. We don't concentrate on how you feel. We don't care. And that's the honest truth. When I say don't care, there's shards to not caring. And what I mean by shards I care that I don't want to be monstrative. I don't want to be a devil to you. I'm not trying to ruin your life. But really and truly, I don't care enough to want to put you first. It's a complete opposite of what love is. It's not what God has instituted as love. We just don't care. Our major scope of thought process is that I need to get what I need out of the situation. Get yours while you can. And I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about whether it's money, whether it's the emotions, whether it's sex. Get what you can because I'm going to get mine. Right? You are not on the forefront of that emotional F-boy's mind. You're not. Okay? You're not. So while she was crying and feeling some type of way about the fact that I used her, yeah, she's right, I did. Let's be honest, because you wasn't getting yours. I mean, I've changed now, of course. Now if I'm an emotional F-boy, I'll be, I'm gonna give you something. You know what I mean? You go on climax. I'm not gonna leave you like that. Do you know what I'm saying? All jokes aside, I'm being deadly serious. You are gonna climax. I'm not gonna leave you like that. I just can't do it anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm gonna get something, you gonna get something. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, So in that sense, she was absolutely right to feel how she felt. And it's really interesting. That part where I put in the story is a real thing. She didn't realize she was naked until she felt like she was used. And what it reminded me of was Adam and Eve in the garden. The moment Adam and Eve ate the fruit from the tree, their eyes were now open. They realized they're naked. She didn't realize she was half naked until she was like, wait, hold on, he's used me. Suddenly you become conscious of oneself, right? And it's such a powerful moment when I saw that. When I saw that at the moment, I was like, whoa. I said, damn. She's having a moment right now. Like, literally, that moment for her, she felt exposed, vulnerable, even though she was naked when she woke up. There was nothing different. But now she realizes that I've used her. Now she realizes, oh, no. That nakedness you're feeling, it's not about just the physical. It's the shame that you feel in that moment, the vulnerability for that moment, the fact you feel you got used, the fact that you feel like almost you might even feel dirty, the fact that someone's just taking advantage of you in that situation. You didn't get what you were supposed to get out of that deal. The transaction wasn't a fair transaction. Just have to call it what it is, right? This is emotional F-boy to its highest hill, right? This is F-boys in general, but I'm talking about from an emotional standpoint, okay? So, I want to say this first and foremost. Where is the emotional F-boy born? Where are we born? We are born in households that usually have emotionally devoid parents or manipulative parents. And in fact, if you talk to many people, you'll find out that many people have grown up in the same type of household. Okay? There are many people that are born in the same type of household, right? Whether your parent was emotionally absent, whether your parent was physically absent, whether your parent was stonewalling you, whether your parent didn't want it when you were bad, they would punish you by not feeding you, whether your parents had double standards and never whenever you did something, they would tell you that you're being bad but do the exact same thing to you. They would threaten you. Right? How many of our parents threaten us to say they'll remove us from the earth? We joke about it, but it actually becomes manipulative. No, really, truly, really deep it. You have to really deep it. You are being threatened with being removed from the earth. Some of you, we laugh all the time now as black people, and I'm sure white people get it too, but we laugh about it, but it actually becomes manipulative if you don't really deep it, right? Another thing is punishing you before the trial. So our parents, they would not want to be in a country where the country punishes you before you get into a trial. But in your own home, they punish you before a trial, right? You don't get to say how you feel. You don't get to say what happened. And in fact, the moment you open your mouth, you're getting punished because they've got a narrative in their head. It don't matter what you said, you are wrong. No dialogue, no conversation, no back and forth. You are wrong. You're now going to get punished. These are some things that start to elicit a behavior of manipulativeness in children, right? Another thing is I said absenteeism. Absenteeism in your most important moments. When a child really needs you, a parent being absent, not always on purpose. Sometimes it's because obviously, work and stuff like that. We understand. And then another thing is also reminding you how much they've done for you. Do you know how manipulative that is? No. Can we be honest? Some of our parents, they don't realize how manipulative their behavior is. They remind you just how much they've done for you every single time. I don't need to be reminded every single time when I do something wrong or I'm not getting it right, that every single time your go-to is, are you forgetting what I've done for you? And now what's happening? You're being emotionally drawn in and emotionally blackmailed. It's manipulative. A lot of our parents use these tactics, and it's because they've also been in those situations too. So just using what they've got, but I'm just highlighting where people are made. We're not born this way, we're made this way. Right? And so the other aspect, over controlling behaviors, over exerting boundaries, right? Creating fear in the home, not love. Nothing wrong. Listen, I'm not against a beating. Okay. All right. I'm not against being beaten. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not against it. What I am against, okay, is when you don't get to explain yourself, when you don't get to give your narrative or your side, when they don't take into consideration your point of view, that's where I have a problem. And a lot of parents, sometimes when it comes to beating, they're not even beating you because you've done something wrong. They're beating because they're angry. That becomes a manipulative piece too, because the child also learns that it doesn't matter what I say or do, I don't have a voice. And the reason I'm going to mention that, this part is so important. I don't have a voice is really important. I'm going to come onto it. I'm going to tell you about strategies that we use, okay? So breaking boundaries, and then excessive excessive responsibility. Becoming a third parent in your household is the number one way to produce manipulative children usually, because that child never gets an opportunity to actually become a child. They usually are a parent before their time, right? And when you are a parent before your time, you're given a level of responsibility and adulthoodness before it's time. And what ends up happening is that you end up having needs and wants that are never met. So what happens? You go out in the world and get your needs and your wants met there. Okay. So some of our parents have birthed us. When I birthed, I mean made us. And they don't realize they've made us into these monsters, okay? Now, of course, everyone has to take accountability for your actions. My parents are not responsible for my actions. I am responsible for my own actions. And the consequences of my actions are on me. I'm just giving you the origin. I am responsible for my actions and the consequences that come with it. If I manipulate somebody, I cannot blame my parents, no matter the origin and no matter the story. I must take accountability. Okay. All right. Cool. So again, once more, if you're here with us, we're a few minutes in. We are talking about the birth of the emotional F-boy, and we wanted to break some stuff down today. We're just talking about F-boys are not born; they are made. They're not born; they are made. And today's topic we're talking about is I'm just kind of giving an overview of how I was made and not born. Right? I was made, not born. Okay. All right, cool. So here's why we are made. Okay. Here is why we are made. And the why is so important, because if you understand the why, you also understand who we're getting. Because the very why that I have, you have the same why. And you have that same why is why I'm coming to you. You get what I'm saying to you? Yeah? The same why I have that makes me an F-boy, that makes me a player, that makes me want to play women and have a roster of women, is the same why you are there in the first place, why you become a victim. We have the same why. You are my mirror and I'm your mirror. Right? So when I play you, you are actually looking at the mirror and I'm looking at my mirror too. It's just that I'm playing a role. So I become the person who's a victimizer. You become the victim. But the reality is we are both facing a mirror and looking at each other. So whenever you get played, you need to look in the mirror, because you're carrying a why as to why I'm coming for you. Right? There's something that you have that I have. Now, of course, if we're talking about narcissists are completely different. Narcissists are a completely different bag. We are not discussing narcissists. They are a completely different bag. I can't lie to you. All right? We are a completely different bag. So narcissists, we don't talk about them because they're in a completely different environment. Okay, so it is what it is. All right, cool. So why are we made? Number one, the reason why F-boys are made is because we also want love but we want it with the control of how we receive it. Okay? We want love, but we want it in the way that we receive it. So we want the love, but we want to be able to control how it comes, how often it comes, and where it comes from. Okay? All right? That control. Right? And that's because, again, I say why we're made, but why we do what we do, sorry. Why we do what we do, apologies. I said why we're made. Why we do what we do. And we do it because we want control. Okay? And I love this definition, control. Seeking power and control over others can drive emotional manipulation to achieve a desired outcome. Because I've been disempowered in my childhood, I'm empowering myself today to play your ass. Okay? All right? Because I've been disenchanted and disempowered in my childhood, I'm coming to play you. You are about to be my chess piece that I'm going to move. That's how I'm about to treat you is how I felt. So the way that I was not considered, the way my needs and voice was not heard and not taken into account is how I'm going to do you too. And I'm simply trying to empower myself again by playing your ass. Doesn't make it right. I'm just explaining the why. Okay? I'm seeking power and control over others because I want a desired outcome. Okay? Disempowered childhoods lead to empowered adulthoods that are far above what you really need to be doing. Okay? All right? So just be aware of that, right? So for me personally, power and control is a big thing. Winning and losing is a big thing. Power and control, winning and losing, black and white is a huge thing for any F-boy because he or she must measure the work that they put in via metrics that are able to be measured. You can only measure when there is a winning and a losing that is visible to the person. Okay? So you have to understand when the F-boy is playing or the F-girl is playing, they are playing to win. They're not playing to win-win. Me win and you win. No, they're playing to win. Even when you think you're winning, they are winning. Because in your winning, they're winning because they got what they want. If you get yours as well, that's a byproduct. That's fantastic. But I'm going to get what I'm going to get. And when you really deep it, you ain't really winning. So in order to be able to see the metrics of whether they're winning or not, things have to be black and white, right? And so a lot of times when it comes to power and control, I have to keep you in a particular position so that I can measure whether I'm really winning this game, right? So maybe I want to get, and here's where the emotional aspect comes in. The emotional aspect that comes in is like, for instance, I know you want me. I don't want you, but I want you to want me. Now, if you know this makes sense to you, you're probably an F girl or F boy out there. You know, if this makes sense to you, it's probably because you're an F boy or F girl out there. One of the things that an emotional person loves is that you want me, but I don't want you. And I want to, and I call it, it's called the ego. I call it the ego stroke or the feeder. Emotional F people want feeders. Okay, and they have several feeders. Okay, so when you're playing your role correctly, you are in a position where I can control your movement. If you start getting out of pocket, I'm gonna have to put you back in place or I get rid of you. Whichever one comes first. Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm only playing Felicia. I'm only playing. The feeder who's feeding the emotional F boy or F girl, that feeder has a position. You cannot come out that position. I've been on both sides of the tracks. I've been on the side of the feeder and the person who's getting the feeding. And let me tell you something. On the side of the feeder, there's an ego. Oh, you see, that's why I said the mirror is a very beautiful thing. The mirror is this. The person who's a feeder, right? The person who's a feeder may cry and say, "Oh my God, I got used. I never knew this is what you were doing to me." You're lying. Can I say it again? The feeder is lying. The mirror, we are a mirror of each other. The reason why you're feeding me is because you yourself also have an ego. You want to win. No, you want to be able to validate yourself by chasing me. And when you chase me and you can win my affection, you feel better about yourself. That's the mirror. We are in the same boat. The only difference is who's driving that boat. That's the key thing. It's very similar to the anxious and avoidant kind of cycle. But the feeder and the person who's being fed, they are a mirror image of each other. The feeder has got an ego. He wants to win. He or she wants to win. They want to be able to supply love to a point where you fall in love with them. And they're like, oh my God, I feel validated. I feel wanted. I feel loved. I feel cared for in this moment because I finally managed to be able to win you over. And that comes from a low self-esteem on your side too. We all got problems on this side. You know what I'm saying to you? We've all got problems. So the person who's playing you is playing you because they know your weakness. Your weakness is you want to be wanted. Your weakness is you want to be cared for. Your weakness is you want to feel important and special. And so much so, you're willing to be a feeder for me. I've been there, so I know. It's very hard to turn the game around when you're a feeder. Very hard. Very hard. So the person who's being fed, the person who's being fed sees you for who you really are, right? And if you're a feeder, the moment you see yourself, I even feel like when it comes between the feeder and the person who's being fed, I'd rather be the one that's being fed. And I'll tell you why I'd rather be the one that's being fed. I'd rather be fed because oftentimes we're able to spot the darkness that you have. We're able to be, there's some level of self-awareness. That's what usually puts the feeder in the feed place, right? That person has a level, the person who's getting fed has a level of self-awareness to understand, or shall I say better, let me say this better word. They have a level of awareness to see that, you know what, you have these weaknesses and you're willing to surrender and sacrifice yourself. Right? Always. And I'll be honest, let me keep an honest track and an honest real thing. Even to this day, like, one of the struggles is the ego, and it's also safety. Because there's some type of feeding, whether it's YouTube that's feeding you, whether it's Instagram feeding you, whether it's TikTok validating you, whatever, there's some type of opposite sex feeding. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to be conscious aware. Something that God was talking to me about, you know, you got to be conscious aware of it. Because that's usually your downfall. But again, I'd rather be the one that's getting fed than the one that's feeding. Because the one that's feeding often deludes themselves. Right? Oftentimes, not always. The person who's feeding oftentimes is deluded. They will tell you, oh, I'm doing it for a good cause, you know, because I really care about you, because I love you, I just really appreciate you. You lie. You know you ain't doing it for that reason. Okay? You don't realize yourself that you have an ego. You don't realize that you have self-esteem issues, self-value issues, and you're trying to validate yourself by winning me over or by winning them over. I've been on both sides of the track, so I can tell you the truth. Right? I remember one situation, and I won't tell the whole story about it. I remember one situation where there was a girl years ago, and she was really, really pretty. She was so pretty. Dark skin, sexy. God damn, she was fine. And I just wanted to be in her presence. I can't lie to you. These days, I was very young and naive, and, you know, I didn't have much about myself, and I didn't have much confidence in me, and, you know, I was a little fat kid too, you know, I just wanted to be in her presence. I would do anything to do in her presence. What you want, I'll go and get it. What you need, I'll go there. You know, if she calls me, that's cool. But if I call her back, she don't answer. She calls me whenever she wants to call me. She texts me back whenever she wants to text me. And I was just giving. I was just giving. You know, someone might ask me, so why are you giving so much? Oh, because I care about her. I mean, we're really great friends. You lie. You lie. You know you're not good friends. You lie. You are trying to seek your validation and trying to win that person's affection, and it would validate you that you're an important and special person. Because I had my own self-esteem issues from childhood. Because I hadn't been seen and I had not been heard. So I was trying to, and you end up becoming manipulative when you're trying to win that person's affection in that way. Oh, somebody, somewhere. But that's enough about the feeder. Let me get back to a regular. Let me get back to the regular broadcast. So we're talking about obviously why we do what we do, and the reason why also the person becomes an FBOY is because they oftentimes become avoidant attachment, but also because their needs were never met. I was never seen or I was never heard, and therefore, when I want my needs met, I manipulate instead of actually voicing out those needs. Because I don't know how to voice those needs. I don't know how to make those type of connections because I never made them when I was younger. Right? And because I never made them while I was younger, I only know short term. So when I want my needs being met, rather than speaking it or saying it, or my wants being met, rather than voicing those things out, I will do. You ever been? It's almost like, you ever been in a club before? You ever been on a dance floor before? When you're in a club, right? When you get on a dance floor, you don't speak. You just move. You ever notice that? Right? Like if you ever go to a club or you go to a lounge or whatever, you go somewhere where the festival, people don't talk much. And when I say don't talk much, as in when they're dancing, they don't talk. What they do is they move. They use their verbal cues, eye contact, and they just move. Well, it's quite similar also in the kind of dating realms, or should I say the relationship realms, but it's much more darker. Instead of actually like talking out and saying how you feel, you just go and take it. You know, I just move. I don't try to talk. I just move. You know what I'm saying to you? And that's oftentimes what happens with the playboy or the playgirl. They just move. They move on feelings. Right? So if you ever ask them why, they'll be like, that's how I felt. I just felt that way. You know? Rather than actually checking how they feel, they'll be like, I just felt that way. I did what I felt. This is how I felt. And they moved by it. Right? It's the exact same way. They don't know how to voice out how they feel, what they're going through, or what they want. So they just go and take it. Kind of peak. So sometimes it's not even that they're trying to be manipulative, but they want something, and instead of just saying, hey, I want this, they go and take it. Right? Instead of saying, hey, do you know what? I don't want a relationship with you. I just want sex. Right? Instead of just saying that, they go and take it. They feign and pretend, and they dance and they do the whole, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And by the time you get there, because you haven't said nothing either, we're now dancing together. You haven't let me know what you actually want either. So because remember, we're a mirror at this point in time. And so as we're dancing, you know, da-da-da-da-da, I'm whining on you. I'm giving you a nice little whine. You're giving me a whine. Before you know it, I've taken what I want from you and I've discarded you. And then when you look around to see where I am, I'm no longer there. Right? Let me say it again. It's like you've been on a dance floor, right? And we see each other across the dance floor. Nobody's saying nothing. We're just getting closer and closer and closer. Before we know it, bodies are touching, we're whining, da-da-da-da-da-da. You haven't said what you wanted. I haven't said what I wanted, right? But I'm moving in a direction. I'm feigning. I'm giving you some kind of energy. It looks like it's talking and smelling like what you would want, but you ain't saying it either. Because you don't know how to voice your opinion. You don't know how to voice what you want. You don't know how to voice what you need either. So now we're just dancing. And we're just kind of moving with how we feel. And you don't, and because you don't want to mess it up, because you're moving by how you feel. You're like, I don't want to mess up this flow because I just want it to work. Because you don't know how to voice your wants and needs. So you just like, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want it to go pear-shaped. So I just want to enjoy what's going on. I'm just gonna move with it. I take what I want, and then you turn around and you look around and you see I'm no longer there. Now you're hurt. We're two sides of a coin, right? The taker and the giver. You know what I'm saying to you, right? So, so that's what will happen to you, right? Because people are not voicing what they actually really want. And so, yes, there are some F-boys that will lie and tell you that they want a relationship. There's levels to this, right? From most of us men, we operate in the gray area, and I've done a video on this. I won't do too far. You know, we operate in the gray area, right? So when you operate in the gray area, nobody said anything. You haven't said nothing. I haven't said nothing. And we're just in a space where we're just moving, you know, and a lot of men operate in that space, and women, F-boys and F-girls operate in that space because I don't want to say anything, right? So until you say something, I'm not going to say anything. You know what I'm saying to you? So, yeah. So that's the biggest part there, as well. Cece said, as a woman, you relinquish power if you omit, cut, and dry everything that you want. No, you don't. You actually gain more power. You gain more power. See, the person who tells you what they want is the issuer of the contract. Do you not see? If you tell me what you want, you are the issuer of the contract, and I choose whether I'm going to sign or not. You must be the issuer of your contract. Don't let me issue the contract. Issue the contract. What I mean by that is, either you're gonna, if you see it going somewhere, issue a contract. If you don't see it going somewhere, that's cool. Let it be. You know what I'm saying to you, right? But don't let there be nothing going on and you're just moving, because what's gonna happen is someone's gonna take advantage of it. You have power by telling him what you want. Because a man wants to write, men that want you raise themselves to a standard. It's that simple, right? If you say, hey, I'm about relationship, I'm about being intentional, and I'm about making sure that, you know what, I'm about marriage. I can tell you now, there'll be some men that will start off there'll be some men that will fall away straight away. And there'll be some other men that will come in and be like, you know what, she said marriage, but I don't really believe her, right? He wants to test your boundaries and test your standards. Once you let him know, my brother, I was serious about intentional dating and I was serious about marriage, he gonna fall away too. Right? It's only narcissists, complete narcissists, who do this kind of stuff, right? Narcissists who ignore those things and go past it, yes. But trust me, most people don't. Most people will fall away because they are trying to see how much they can get away with. That's another thing about us F-boys and F-girls, okay? All right? We want to be able to get away with as much as possible, as cleanly as possible. So if you don't say anything, fantastic. Okay? You know what I'm saying to you? Yeah. Okay, cool. My last things I want to say. Okay. My last parts of this. One thing that I learned being on the streets, I should say. One of the last things I kind of learned that I was being on the streets, this one I learned, is that most people that are lounging on the streets are emotionally broken and emotionally wounded. And that's why we're all here having sex. I mean, keep it a buck. A lot of people, if not all, that are on the streets are emotionally wounded, emotionally avoidant, and we use sex as a way of getting our high. We are druggies. Yeah. Those of us on the streets. Yeah, when I say streets, I mean we out there. I'm not just talking about you had a little session. I'm talking about some of us who love sex and we don't mind a few different partners. Yeah, if you're on that street, you are a druggie. And your drug is the high you get usually from sex, and the intimacy that's born out of that space. That temporary high you get is your drug, is your addiction, right? And so because we're druggies, someone's got to supply. But the supplier is also eating the supply. So it's like there's nobody free. You get what I'm saying too? It's a nasty cycle. Even if I'm supplying, I'm eating the supply too. Because I'm just as much of a druggie as you are. Maybe I'm just in the person of supplying it, but I'm just as much as a druggie as you are. Right? I'm just as much of a druggie as you are. You hear what I'm saying to you? And what that means is that I just need to find what you're addicted to. If I can find what you're addicted to, I can supply it. Right? If I can find out what you're addicted to on them streets, I can supply it. And most people have the same drug addiction. They haven't been seen. They haven't been heard. That's usually it. Right? Haven't been seen, haven't been heard, you're usually on the streets. So what do I have to do? I have to make you seen, and I have to make you heard. That's how I deal the drug to you. Now, that is the drug, but it has to be dispensed in a particular way. Because you can't get everybody, by the way, right? And also, not everybody responds to the drug that you're giving out. You may have the right drug, but you aren't the right person. You see what I'm saying to you? Right? You may have the drug, but you're not the right person. So in some sense, what's going to happen is you can issue that particular drug, but the person won't buy from you because you're not the right person, right? So you have to find your marketplace. Now we're going to talk strategy. My last part of the video, okay? My last part of the video. Shout out to Felicia H. Good lesson today, Kojo. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, honestly. Thank you very much as well. You know. Okay. So, strategy. Let's talk strategy, okay? It's going to get political when I say this, okay? Strategy. I want to let you know, okay? I want to let you know, okay? I want to let you know that you are targeted, okay? All right? I want to let you know that you are targeted. What that means is I know my target audience, so I target. Just like on YouTube. I know my target audience, so I target. One of the things also on YouTube that I find difficult to do, and it's very hard for me to do, is to target the audience, because I have a predominantly female audience, woman audience. And I find it sometimes a little bit discombobulating. I find it very disingenuous sometimes when I'm supplying videos strictly for women in a way that I feel like becomes pandering and becomes not authentic to its true self. I'm a person that holds a very down the line kind of perspective, both men and women. I can see both sides. But if I really want to break the internet, I have to choose one side and go all. You see how some people go to one side and their language becomes very panderish? The reason why is because they are supplying the complete drug. I just can't do that. Even though I know the target audience, right? So I try to keep a balance in terms of this is what I want to do. This is what people who follow me are. This is what I want to talk about. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to break down. This is what I want to give to you. I'm very careful sometimes because I don't want to get lost in that pandering stuff, right? I've had my moments, okay? But going back to what I said, strategy, okay? There is a target audience and you are targeted, okay? And so because you are targeted, I want you to understand they have done their market research and they know what you want, okay? Because remember, most of you are druggies, okay? When you're on the streets, you are druggy. What I mean, and when I say streets, even some of you are not on the streets. Let's say some of you are broken. You're emotionally devoid. You're emotionally avoidant. You're not very good at sharing your feelings and your thoughts. You're not very good at sharing your needs and wants. Some of you are codependent. Some of you are, but people pleasers, whatever you want to call it, right? You might not be on the streets. You get pulled onto the streets, right? Okay? Unfortunately, you catch a stray, but the thing is, because you had certain tendencies, now you caught up, okay? So first things first, like I said, is that you are a target and you've been targeted, okay? And the reason why is because you are broken emotionally, oftentimes that you get targeted by emotional F-boys. Number two, or number three, I should say, now I know that I am now going to become the jigsaw piece, okay? I'm now going to become the jigsaw piece that fits into your puzzle, okay? Now, I don't need to lie to do this. I don't need to act to this per se, right? I just need to be what you wanted, right? So if I know that you haven't been seen or heard, maybe you need someone to talk to, I'm gonna talk to you, and I'm gonna be a good listener, and I'm gonna learn about you, and I'm gonna care about you, and I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Or if I know that, you know what, you never really had no one care about you, I'm gonna care about you. Now I'm saying these things. It's a, you know, like I said, it can be very dangerous. Because at a point in time, sometimes you don't know what reality is and what is real, what's not for real. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Because you play the game for so long. Okay. So yes, that is one of the things that happen as a strategy. You become a jigsaw piece that fits into what the person wants. Another thing is that ego, and if you can tackle people's ego and pride, you can get them to make the decisions you want them to make. You know what I mean? Yeah? If you can tackle ego and pride, you can get people to do what you want them to do, right? And then the last part is also that... the last part is... No, that was it. So my finishing thing to this is I had a mantra. So I had a mantra because every FBOY plays a game differently, and there are levels to warfare how people play them. Okay, absolutely. You know what I mean? You ain't got. You ain't, we haven't even got to that dark stuff yet. Get me? But I had a mantra. My mantra was, whilst I was on the streets, I was like, when you think you got me, just know I got you. That was my mantra. Like, if you think you got me, just know I got you worse. Right? Yeah, it was wild. I can't lie to you. To have these thought processes, I was kind of wild. And it's because I always want to win. So there's always a part of me that's reserved. You know what I'm saying to you? There's always a part of me that's not fully there. There's always a part of me that's not fully all the way in. Diona Burton said, what happened when you meet your toxic match? I can tell you one day. Because I met my match. And I'm telling you, finished me. Finished me. Because you just, when you met your match, you never saw it. You never see that day coming. Okay? You never see that day coming. Never. And when it hits so heavy. It's like when you've been winning all your life and then you finally lose. You're like, how? How did I lose that one? Okay? Jay already knows. That mantra, I'm telling you, y'all need to know that mantra will do it for you. Okay? When you think you got me, I've got you. And what that really means is, I play the game in a way that sometimes, just like I do my interviews, I'm giving you the whole game, so this is what I'm doing, okay? I don't mind being disempowered. And I don't mind you thinking you have the power. Because when you think you got me, I've really got you. I don't mind you thinking, you know what? He's all puppy love for me. He's you know what I mean? Like he's all, wanting me and da-da-da-da-da. He's all loving me and I've gotten where I want him. I'm like, no. When you think you got me, I got you. Right? Because I'm waiting for your guard to go down. My guard has never gone down. I'm playing dead. You know what I mean? I'm playing dead. So I don't mind. Don't worry, you continue. You think you got me. Get me. You got me. No, you got me. Oh, you got me. When the guard goes down, that's when you execute. But that is all ego. It's all pride. It's all ego. It doesn't make for healthy relationships. It doesn't make for you to have. It doesn't make you. It doesn't make you a better partner. And it only scars you. I can't lie to you. It scars you because you never ever forget that ethos and that behavior. It scars you. And because that will never go away from you. Remember I told you guys this about in this with Clay and AD. I said it will never go away. If you've been trained to kill, that never goes away. It's now a skill. You now have to restrain yourself from using those skills to implement that result, that end result. So when you've decided, when you've decided to go down that road of darkness, you never forget it. You now have to keep that darkness at bay. And if I'm sure when I get Jay and El Cid on here as well, because they're able to tell you some stories too and show you some stuff. When you get to that place where you've mastered the dark artistry in your field, you're gonna always have to be very careful. That's very true though, El Cid. I can't lie to you. I'm not even gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna say nothing. Not yet. But you have to now put yourself at restraint because you've now acquired a power. Just like anybody who has superpowers, you have to learn how to use them effectively, because the world is cold out there, and there is a day those superpowers are needed. Okay, all right. There is a day that those superpowers are needed. So just gotta be very careful of that. All jokes aside, you gotta be very careful of that, because it will come up again. When people hurt you or when people disrespect you, you're fighting that superpower coming out and dusting them off before they even realize. You learn how to not put yourself in that situation. So, yeah, look, that's my hour done. I will chop up the video, but this video will stay up for a day or two, and then it'll go onto my Dark Arts channel. So if you want to watch the replay, it will be on Dark Arts Podcast. It won't be on this. And I'm going to start putting it on Spotify as well, because I really like the audio aspect as well. So we'll be back again next week, and I'll do another one. I have a story for you as well. I like to write these stories because they get me off my get me on my thing. So if you haven't already done, let me put the link in the chat for you guys. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, Dark Arts Podcast, make sure you are subscribed. Okay. And yeah, I'll get you some more stories next week. I've got a few more stories. I've got a bag of stories, to be honest, but it's just I need to write them out. But I'm gonna write them out for you guys, so we have a little bit of a format. You know what I'm saying to you? But yeah. Yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification uploads. Much love, much appreciation, and we'll see you again next week for Dark Arts Podcast, episode 2. What's my episode 2? Episode 2. The day I became a self-aware F-boy. That's the worst one right there. The self-aware F-boy, we're going to talk about it. The self-aware F-boy is one of the worst ones you can think, because now when you're self-aware, you're now fighting your self-awareness and fighting the darkness at the same time. And when you do it, you now know what you're doing, and that's the worst thing. But I don't want to stop. We're going to talk about it. Okay? I appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay later. We'll see you again.